Well, welcome to the Clive Barker podcast. This is episode 21, a show about nothing. So, originally we had planned on talking about the Damnation game this time around, but I'm only about halfway through it, and Jose, you've been pretty busy with other things too, so we weren't quite prepared. So, we could have just talked about it from our memories, but it's probably better to, reread it.
Absolutely. It's a wonderful book, but it's very long. The paperback that I have is like over 500 pages. So
it's only in English. It's 360 something, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
I have the maybe it's because I have a smaller paperback. I have I think it's either Sphere Books or is it Harper? I don't know. I need to check. My paperback is like a little brick, so it's really big. But yeah, it's a book that is a little dense to read, so it's a little more bleak than usually Clive Barker stories are. So it's not like Aberrat, which is more a little light reading. You can just get into it, This one has a pretty, serious tone, very heavy reading.
Yeah, it feels a little, I guess we don't want to get into it too much, but it feels a little Lovecraftian almost.
Yes, I agree completely, yeah.
Well, I guess we can go into Occupy Midian news. Their screenings, there have been a whole bunch of new worldwide screenings added. So the one's coming up on the 23rd, which is tomorrow, Slash Film Festival in Vienna, Austria.
Mm-hmm.
And then 28th is Derby Quad in UK. That one we knew about already. And then 29th, Chapter Arts Centre in Cardiff, UK.
Yes.
And the University of Winchester on September 30th. In UK again, Grim Up North in Manchester, UK. October 5th, which is Clive Barker's birthday. It's also my brother's birthday.
Oh, congratulations.
And I don't know, how do you pronounce that word?
Oh, it's misspelled on the website. It's the Sitges International Film.
Okay, in Barcelona, Spain.
It's got an extra I there. The second I is not supposed to be there. It's the Sitges International Film Festival. It's near Barcelona. It's going to be on October 12th.
Yeah. Then in Sheffield, we're back to the UK again. Celluloid Screams, October 26th. Horrorthon in Dublin, Ireland. I don't remember seeing this on the list before. October 29th. This one might have just gotten snuck in there.
Yeah, I think so too. I was just looking at it. Yeah. And there's the November 2nd Weekend of Horrors in Germany.
Yeah.
There's the there's the Night Visions in Helsinki on November 3rd. And November 9th, the Abertoir Horror Festival in Aberystwyth, UK. I'm sorry for all the locals there.
That one I didn't know about either, did you? I don't remember seeing this.
No, I had no idea. Yeah. There's the Morbido Fest in Mexico.
Yeah.
In 17th of November. That's 2 days after my birthday.
So I wonder if that's Mexico City. We'll have to look that up.
Could be.
Yeah. There's a link there, so.
November 23rd at the Electric Cinema in Birmingham, UK.
Wow.
And the one in Paris.
Yeah, Paris International Fantastic Film Festival on the 25th of November.
That's going to be pretty cool because Paris is, it's a wonderful city, and I'm sure that this festival is really big, I'm guessing.
Yeah. So, pretty cool. I mean, that's a ton of screenings, and they're still trying to get more. We don't see anything in December on here yet.
So, the UK is having like 7 new screenings upcoming.
Yeah.
So, now you guys can't complain about, bring the Cabal Cut here to the UK because you got a bunch of screenings.
Yeah, how come it's in London, but it's not in Liverpool?
Yeah. It's funny that Russell has said that, for example, the Cabal Cut is still evolving. The Vienna screening that's going to come up in tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's going to be the 6th version of the Cabal Cut, right?
Yeah. So, and I've seen 2 of those versions, and now it's going to be even different from what I've seen. And he didn't really say how it was different, and I didn't want to ask him publicly on there because, I don't know, it doesn't seem like, pertinent kind of a question, but I'd like to know.
Yeah. I wanted to post a comment saying, hey, Russell, do the guns still go pop, pop, pop? Yeah. Because I heard that they do that, so...
There was the last version that I saw at Monster Mania, there was kind of a little bit of the scene where Decker is chasing Lori around, and Boone doesn't want her to die, so he's, and those Nightbreed, those big tall guys are holding him back, and he wants to escape, and he wants to get out and go help her, and they won't let her. So the sound in there had somehow messed up maybe when the disc was being burned.
Yeah.
And so the sound, it was all in too deep of a register, like it had slowed down or something.
Oh.
Yeah, so it was like, you will put us all in danger for your love of this woman.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it wasn't like that in the Mad Monster Party version I saw, and I'm sure they've probably fixed that now.
Yeah, maybe they're still fixing those little things. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just trimming little things here and there, making it a little tighter because, some feedback from the screenings have been, oh, this is too long. Yeah. Or, the massacre and medium scene just keeps going on, and maybe they're trimming it.
And I appreciated that. I mean, it was kind of hard to sit through, but I thought that's what made it powerful.
Yeah.
Because it was a Holocaust, like Simon Bamford said in a comment recently. It was a Holocaust scene. It wasn't supposed to be an action scene.
Right, with guys like jumping around and doing pirouettes and stuff like that. Even though there are still guys like that on the Cabal Cut, right? There's that white-faced guy that jumps around and, it's kind of an acrobat.
He actually disappeared out of the last one that I saw.
Oh, well, that's unfortunate. Okay.
At least I think so. I was watching for him, and well, but a lot of the all the important stuff is in there. Like Boone smashes up caskets and is giving all these Nightbreed like lengths of wood to use as weapons, and I thought that's really sad. It's like that's the best you can do. Yeah, so it kind of showed how desperate they were, and I don't, in the theatrical cut, it's kind of like these guys are these super powerful monsters, and these dumb humans don't know what they're getting into.
Right, it should be like that, right? I mean, Clive Barker wanted to continue the story, turning the surviving Nightbreed into like Clive Barker's X-Men or something like that.
Yeah.
So, I understand that some of the breed doesn't really have proper, very powerful powers or abilities. Probably some of them are just freaky looking. Yeah,
you remember on Occupy Midian Wall, somebody wrote, "What is Kinski's power?"
Yeah.
and it's like, well, he doesn't have a power. I mean,
he's got a weird shaped head. He can headbutt people.
Yeah. I mean, he's old. He's like 200 years old, right? Yeah, at least that's what we get from the backstory in the comic book.
Yeah. And he can hold Pelican back, so he's probably strong.
Yeah, or he's at least respected.
Oh, yeah, or at least Pelican was, he's got his hands on me, I'm not going to shake him off or something. So.
Yeah.
So, I mean, who knows? I mean, the comic books expanded a little bit on that, but sometimes they just went a little silly, like when Narcisse's head gets cut off and then it just bounces around a little bit and then they reattach it to his head. And
did they actually? I thought he just reappeared at one time and then they never got around to explaining how he came back to life.
Right, I need to reread that. I do remember there was a witch. Do you remember the witch with the
Nick Naven.
Weird-shaped nose and everything. She gets beheaded, and then they stick her body into a young woman's body.
Yeah.
And it's kind of disturbing after a while.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of funny.
For example, Paracelsus or whatever his name was. Do you remember that?
Yeah, he was the guy who created the Berserkers.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, at least in the comics, that guy, for example, hangs himself, and he dies forever in the comic book. You know, I don't know if you remember the scene where he hangs himself.
So that he could create the
homunculus or something.
Yeah.
Because when he would be hanged, he would ejaculate into the floor, and he would create these homunculi or whatever.
And there were, and he needed, what was the other thing they needed? What's that plant that you pull out and it screams and kills everybody?
Mandragora?
Yeah, Mandragora or Mandrake.
Yeah, Mandrake.
Yep. Yeah, so that comic book is really cool, and it really started to, get to really take a good shape in its story, and then it ended. And I think that Nicholas Vince was in a large part responsible for that, for how good it was getting at the end there.
Yeah, he was starting to build a rapport between Shuna Sassy and Boone. They were starting to maybe steer away a little bit from Laurie and try to create some tension between Boone and Shuna Sassy.
And there was a subplot at the end, I think, where Baphomet was possessed, and they needed to use Shuna Sassy's quills to kill him because her quills could kill a god.
Yeah, that was a pretty surprising development.
Yeah,
he was possessed by Ozymandias and some of the other previous gods of the Nightbreed, I think. So that was interesting.
Yeah, the first 6 saviors. They all existed inside of Baphomet, like their souls were trapped in him.
Right. I always wondered about the saviors of Midian. I know we're going a little off top. I know we're going a little ranting around here with the Midian thing, but hey, it's a show about nothing. Like
Yeah. Well, as soon as you downloaded it and started listening, you knew what you were getting into.
Yeah. So I was thinking, because there's that picture, the scene you were talking about earlier, where Boone is being held by 2 strong guys, and Lylesburg is telling him, "You can't go up there. You can't save Laurie. You have to let her go."
Yeah.
And they're standing in this room that has a little statue of Baphomet in the middle. And then around it, there's like 6 statues of 6 busts of people. They look like male figures. I always wondered if that had anything to do with the the previous 6 years of Midian. So
that could
I don't know.
Because it was in some version of the script, right? That there were 7 saviors, or that Boone was the 7th savior.
Yeah. Well, 7 is a pretty magic number. I mean. There's all that Kabbalah thing about the numbers, and 6 and 7. The devil is 666, and 7 like a divine number. And so who knows? Yeah, I guess only Clive would know the explanation for those things.
Yeah. It would be cool to take a screenshot of that and see if we can, like you've been kind of doing with the Chenard Institute, and kind of see what we can make of it. See if it matches up with also the 7 saviors in the comic book. Right.
I would love to be able to find and get Occupy Midian in touch with the art director for Midian for Nightbreed. I don't even know what his name is. I can check. So let me just check really quickly, because those guys usually have a lot to do with the sets and how they're designed and what kind of stuff appears in the background and the decorations. So I always wondered if it was possible to get in touch with those people. Art direction. So but who knows? I mean, and there's also other developments at Occupy Midian. There's been, if you guys haven't checked out the shop, there's like cool stuff popping up there. Yeah, there's a replica T-shirt of the King Rocker shirt that Narcisse wears, with that cool kind of like Picasso-y looking, druggy looking kind of a face on it. So
I bought one of those. It's kind of a little bit of an obscure reference for people who, aren't really super familiar with Nightbreed, but it's a cool shirt.
Exactly.
Did I forget? Does it say Occupy Midian on the back? I think it does.
I'm not sure.
I can't remember either.
I can check really quickly. Let me just go to the website and shop.
And it's occupymidian.com, and you just go to the little shop link in the upper corner. And Christian Francis helped design that shirt, or redesigned it, I guess you could say, and the posters and stuff.
It doesn't say what's on the back. It just has a picture, and it's got a picture of Narcisse that I once sent to Christian.
I think if I'm remembering right, I think I asked him, and he said that it says Occupy Midian on the back, but I could be completely remembering that wrong.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Or Nightbreed Cabal Cut, or I'm not sure. We'll just see when it arrives, I guess. There's
a bunch of posters there, and there's even a lot of choices there for people. So, okay, you guys should check it out, and support Occupy Midian.
Yeah. So let's see. I've been kind of thinking about the release of the movie, and people have been asking about it on Occupy Midian. What how is it going to be? And it seems like the consensus is that it's going to have, or they want to try to get an HD version of the theatrical cut.
Mm-hmm.
And then whatever form the Cabal Cut they can, the best possible form they can get it in would be the second disc. And then, I don't know, maybe would that also have the documentary, or maybe the documentary will be on another disc, plus special features.
Yeah, I would really love to know more about that.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's still a bit early to know what's going to be in or not. I don't know who's going to decide about the DVD authoring thing. I mean, I wonder if that's...
It would be smart for it to be, and we've talked about this before, but for it to be region-free.
Yeah,
so that it could be just released internationally.
Sure.
Get some help with localizing, fill it up with subtitles.
Yeah, nowadays it's pretty easy to do that. I mean, there's been... Gosh, I mean, like you said, if you just make one region free, you can sell it anywhere in the world. You can sell it to, Madagascar. You can sell it to North Korea. No, well, maybe not North Korea, but,
And don't you kind of think that dubbing, dubbing language is dead now?
I would like to think so, but I think it's pretty much alive still in places like Spain and Italy and France. In Germany.
I think it feels to me like people have sort of woken up to the fact that that's hokey.
It is hokey.
Yeah.
I agree. But there are people who made their careers as being like Sean Connery's voice in German. So I'm not kidding. Yeah, it's true.
Well, you take stuff like Robotech is beloved in the United States, and it's completely, they completely changed the plot and the story by dubbing it and and doing some creative editing and stuff.
That's like 2 or 3 different shows that they edited together. It was Macross.
And they made it seem like they were all the same show, and they're not. There's Southern Cross and Macross, and I forget what the Invid one was called.
Oh gosh, you're just bringing back memories, because I used to watch Robotech when I was a kid. The Invid. Yeah, I remember those guys. But anyway, but it's still pretty much alive, dubbing.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been to Germany several times.
Do you think people would expect that? Like to expect a language track on?
Yes. In fact, I will tell you that most DVDs there, sometimes they won't even have the English track at all. They'll just have the 2.0 German audio track, and that's it.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, but that's just the way they don't care about the English one. Most people, they just care about, having the movie with German audio and just, no subtitles.
Maybe it's too hard to do German subtitles because their words have 30 letters in them.
Well, yeah, maybe. I don't know. But for example, Spain also has, and I've lived 9 months in Spain. Spain also has a huge market of national companies publishing these things. They almost don't import anything. Everything is published in Spain, and they have huge markets for that. DVDs and in fact, some of the movies that we have in Portugal are actually published in Spain, and they just slap in subtitles in Portuguese as well as Spanish, and they just ship them over here. So it's a big market.
And you can't depend on localization, right? I mean, that's kind of what it seems like to me. You put this movie out, and you just sort of hope all these local markets will localize it, and who knows if they really will or not.
I know, but you have to consider that most of these countries, there's a big majority of people who all their lives they pretty much only spoke their own language. They never had to learn any other language to the same degree that would imply using it daily.
That's the United States too. I mean.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's also a lot of people in the United States who don't speak a second language, or if they speak it, reasonably well. Maybe they can go someplace on vacation. They can ask for a drink or ask for directions.
Yeah.
But if a movie in a French movie goes to the United States, well, the usual thing that they do is they remake the movie for an American audience.
That's true too. It's like, well, this thing is so popular, like Let the Right One In.
Yeah.
That movie is so close to the original that I didn't even see the point.
Right, exactly. And then movies like that, and like The Ring, and things like that.
Yeah, or The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and all of the they probably saw a franchise there. They're like, hey, well, there's 4 of these or whatever, and we can. The
Girl with the Dragon Tattoo was huge in Europe. The original Swedish version, which was called Millennium.
Yeah.
The Men Who Hated Women, or something like that. That's the title of the book. Oh. And it was huge in Europe. I was in Spain at the time, working at the university there, and it was huge. Everybody was reading those books, and everybody was watching the movie. And then, like 3 years later, they're remaking it for the American audience. So I was like, wow.
Well, and I thought the movie was already popular here. Like the original movie, so I didn't really see the point of remaking it.
Yeah, well, they always remake it for the larger audience, and they're basically trying to get more money out of it, I guess.
I mean, the American version isn't bad, but
I have a Cabal DVD in Italian. The Italian version, it's dubbed in Italian, and there's no English audio. It's a riot, It's a hoot, I tell you. For starters, it's got this really grindhouse feel to it because it's a pan and scan, really crappy transfer for DVD. It looks like someone aimed a camera at a movie screen and is just recording from it. And then it's got Boone speaking in Italian, Peliquin speaking in Italian. It's hilarious.
I could see Peliquin saying "Mamma Mia."
Oh my God! Well, you're close.
That's a spicy meatball.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, it's got stuff like Decker screaming "Tiene una pistola" or something like that.
Man. Right.
It's pretty. It's funny. It's a funny.
Yeah.
So it's cool. It's cool. I'm sure that there's a Spanish version as well. If you look it up on YouTube, I think you can find clips of it in Spanish.
When I lived in Japan, the first thing I saw on TV was Predator dubbed in Japanese.
Oh wow!
Which was pretty funny.
And how did you understand the movie? Did you have subtitles, or did you understand some of the Japanese?
I understood some of the Japanese, not all of it. I mean, people speak too fast in Japanese for me, but back then I was doing pretty well.
I'm trying to visualize. I'm trying to imagine.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, they gave him a really deep, like, fakey voice.
Yeah, speaking in Japanese.
Yeah.
That'd be hilarious. But anyway, you're right. I mean, nowadays, I also believe that these things should... people shouldn't rely too much on localization. And, it takes away from a movie when you dub it in another language. You're taking away the original interpretation of the actor. Even if the other actor that's going to do the dubbing is a good voice actor, it always will be a different. It doesn't really match very well sometimes with the physical interpretation of the actor. So
yeah,
just slap a bunch.
They're tempted to make dialogue that matches the lips of the actor instead of matches the intent of the original language.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
They do that all the time in Spain.
Yeah.
Whenever you had like jokes in Family Guy and stuff like that on Spanish TV, and I was familiar with the episodes, and I would notice that they would change the jokes sometimes to include references to Spanish society. Or, for example, the first time I saw Terminator 2, was in a Spanish VHS. And so instead of the final scene with Arnold being like "Hasta la vista, baby," they replaced it and made him say "Sayonara, baby," just because I guess saying "Hasta la vista" in a Spanish DVD VHS probably they would not have the same impact.
Oh yeah, so they would probably think, well, what'd you make him say that for?
Maybe they would think it was cheesy to say "Hasta la vista" because he was speaking Spanish the whole time. Yeah. So they said, well, he uses a different foreign expression.
Oh, yeah.
Another foreign expression. Let's go for "Sayonara, baby."
Yeah.
For years, I thought he would say "Sayonara, baby," and then I saw Terminator 2 on the TV. It says "Hasta la vista, baby," and I'm like, what? Just 2 years ago, I said that to some of my Spanish friends. They were like, are you serious? He doesn't say "Sayonara, baby"? I'm like, nope. And it was 2010, and people still didn't know that.
Well, it's because John Connor spent a bunch of time in Mexico.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I'm trying to remember. There was something that he says wrong, right? I mean, there's a Spanish phrase that he doesn't say right, and I'm trying to remember what that is.
I remember the scene. He's talking to Arnold in the car, in the truck, or he's teaching him how to smile and how to use idiom expressions. Yeah.
No problema. That's what it was. It's supposed to be no hay problema.
Yeah. There's also a great-looking poster for the Nightbreed, which is being done by Timothy Petidis.
Yeah, I've been meaning to ask, what is that? I mean, because it's not... Is that... I mean, he said he's making it sound like it's an official poster, but for...
It's for a screening, I think, in October. Well, it's going to be in December now, I think.
Okay. So is that one of the ones on our list?
Let me check. I'm actually checking right now.
He keeps posting that on there like we should know what that is, and I don't. I feel weirdly like out of the loop with that.
He says here, here's a sneak peek of the officially licensed 25 by 39 screen-printed October movie screening poster of Nightbreed. And let me see. I think it's going to be in Texas.
Oh.
The screening is in 10, 11, 12. There's only going to be 100 of these prints. 90 will be available for attendees.
Huh.
So, where is this going to be? Screening has now been scheduled for December 13 in San Antonio, Texas.
December 13th. Yeah, that's not officially on the list yet. I mean, it's a cool looking poster. It kind of looks like a comic book cover poster.
Yeah, it's a great looking poster. Yeah. I'm looking forward to this. He says it's going to be like 100 limited edition. So I already sent him a message saying, hey, let me know when they're available. So
really
looking.
Fill up your whole house with Nightbreed posters.
Yeah, it's got Lylesburg, Shunasassy, Lude, who's one of my favorite breed.
Yeah, Lude didn't get enough screen time.
Yeah, let's be honest. Lude and, Leroy Gom, they didn't get enough screen time. But I really wanted to know more about those two because it's so cool.
They're sort of like a buddy team.
Yeah, and then when Lute is like killing one of the Sons of the Free,
yeah, he's like, ew, what a mess.
We hear those noises, those wet flesh, rendering noises off screen, and just Leroy Gaume looks over and says, "Ew, what a mess."
Yeah.
And I always imagine the guy's like ripping the other guy's skull through his mouth or something like that.
Yeah, or just crushing his head or something.
Yeah, so that's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, some real cool stuff showing up here, and unfortunately, some of these screenings that we announced, some of them have changed in terms of the people who are going to be in it, the guests. For example, I'm trying to come up with the Winchester screening. Nick Vince can no longer attend. Also, the Cardiff one, Nick Vince and Hugh Ross can no longer attend. Unfortunately, the engagements, and the Derby Quad, Nick Vince and Hugh Ross can no longer attend either.
Yeah, and they're saying that there are surprises too, and I don't know if that means surprise guests or what.
I don't know. I know that there's going to be a raffle.
Yeah, University of Winchester, that Christian is doing a raffle of, I think, things in his personal collection or things that he bought himself.
Yeah, I saw a full Jump Tribe collection there.
Yeah, minus the Comic-Con one, but that's the most common one anyway. You can buy it for $10 on eBay.
Yeah. There's one image I saw recently I would like to discuss here. The original makeup design for Hugh Ross's Narcisse character. Mm-hmm. I think you know the one I mean.
Yes.
It's this picture that has Narcisse as a preliminary makeup test. And what's really cool about this design is that underneath his ripped skin and scalp
around his head and his neck and stuff.
Yeah, it would look green and scaly.
Yeah,
bright scaly, and it immediately reminded me of the book, the novel.
Yeah,
because it was supposed to be green and scaly underneath when he ripped his face off, right?
Yeah. He really had a face beneath the face, and in Nightbreed, I think it was never quite 100% clear that he didn't just kill himself doing that, and that was just what his skull and bloody skull kind of looked like. Yeah, I mean, it's got a little bit of an alien kind of a look to it, but not enough to make you. It's just enough to make you wonder if there's something else going on there, or if he's just got a messed up head.
Yeah, I think the explanation that was given to that picture was that after some of the producers looked at it, they didn't really like it very much, so I think they went for the bloody head look.
Yeah.
But it's exactly like you were saying. I always thought that he gets all bruised and the doctor says he's dying. I think he wants to die. And, and he's like in shock and he's ripped part of his scalp and, part of his face.
Yeah.
And I always thought that it would make more sense if you would say, I'm an actor. I got a face underneath this one. And then he would just rip it off and it wouldn't really hurt him that much. And you would actually see that he was not human. That would make more sense to me, that he would reveal himself as a breed, as one Nightbreed.
His story is complicated and strange, and it's not explained very well. Like, how did he get back to Midian if he's dead?
Yes, and, he says that Decker, when he questioned him, he, tortured him until he died or something in the hospital. And, like you said, how did he get back to Midian? And, what did Decker do to him, and how did he his body find his way back to? Maybe it did the same thing as Boone did. Maybe it just got up and walked away.
Well, and how did Decker torture him without other people figuring it out that he did that?
Yeah, I mean, he does say, I'm going to need privacy, but there's, doctors and nurses right outside the door, and there's, Hugh Corshi, the Joyce.
Yeah.
Inspector Joyce, he was right outside the door. So.
And even if they didn't hear or see what he was doing, they would have seen the results after it was over.
It would have done an autopsy, right?
Yeah.
So, that didn't make a lot of sense to me. But, if we start unraveling these things, we might start criticizing the movie that we like so much. So, we just, suspend disbelief and just go with...
and it's mysterious, and mysterious is okay.
Yeah. I mean, Decker could have done something without leaving marks or something like that.
Yeah. Yep. So, I guess we could go on to Clive Barker news, because there's a bunch. Mm-hmm. The first one I have here, Clive Barker was put a little link on Facebook, a film, like a documentary called Jojo Baby, and it's about some local person in Los Angeles, I guess.
Yeah, I saw that trailer.
I watched the trailer too, and I guess, I don't know if you have to be a Californian to know who this person is or what their significance is.
You probably have to be in the scene.
Yeah. But it's a new Seraphim Films production. So
okay.
Something to watch out for, I guess.
Yeah, Jojo, I saw it. It's a drag queen, right? It's I think.
Well, he's just a really kind of a kooky character, right? I mean, there was at one point where he's talking about how he tattoos all of the names that anyone has ever called him on his body.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm.
And he makes puppets, and it seemed like he was just kind of a like a Salvador Dali type of an imaginer, I guess. Yeah. Like, doesn't care what other people thinks and just does whatever he wants.
I saw that. He looks straight out of the Nonce Island in Abarat. So more power to him. He looks like a really funny, weird, and fascinating guy.
Yeah.
I'm sure maybe he'll be at the Folsom Street Fair tomorrow. I'm just kidding. It's the Folsom Street Fair is it's an event that happens in San Francisco, and it's going to be tomorrow. Actually, it's going to have live music performance, and it's the BDSM scene.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah,
with leather stuff. So
yeah.
I just heard about this, and because my fiance was telling me, hey, maybe I could go to the Folsom Street Fair tomorrow. I'm like, really? Anyway, moving on.
Yeah. So the next thing, the Wildclaw Theater in Chicago is doing an adaptation of Clive Barker's The Life of Death, and you tweeted this on Occupy Midian and from your own and
Twitter account.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just did it. They just managed to. It's the Wildclaw Theater, and they want to put up a production of Clive Barker's The Life of Death, and they just did it today. They just have $2,500 pledged of $2,500 goal with 7 days to go. So congratulations, Wildclaw Theater.
Yeah, that's great. I think Kickstarter. It seems like there's a revolution in the way things are published now that might be a little bit scary for producers and publishers. This idea that you can create performance on demand, without having these middlemen that are supposed to go around and
gather sponsors.
Yeah, exactly. You can just go straight to the people and say, "You're my sponsors. If you want this, donate some money, and it'll happen."
Yeah, I'm really happy that they did it, because when I tweeted this, they were still like over $1,000 short.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was 10 days to go, so it was 3 days ago. They were still like, okay, the goal was $2,500. I think, if I recall, they were around $700. So I'm really happy that they managed to get an extra $1,800 in the last 3 days.
I would love to see that. I hope that they record it. I mean, I know it's not the same as being there, but what can you do? We don't live in Chicago.
Their rewards for backers were really funny in terms of the names they used. Mm-hmm. So they had like plague victim. If you pledged $10, they would.
You're a plague victim.
You would be a plague carrier if you pledged $25. Pledge 50 or more, Walking Dead. Shout out on website, blog and program button and signed poster. And there was like pledge 100 or more, Survivor.
Wow.
If you pledged 200 or more, you were a greaser.
Yeah.
And 300 or more, hazmat team. The Life of Death, all right. Pledge 1,000 or more, Death Dealer. And then there was like one person actually went. Oh wait, no, they didn't go for this one. This one was if you pledged 5,000 or more, you would be Death Writ Large.
Wow.
So you would get all the stuff that the other guys get: a producer credit, an original oil painting by Dave Dorman. I guess it's the poster of the production. So
cool.
It's pretty cool. So I'm really happy that these guys managed to get the funding. I would also like to know if they're going to put up anything on the blog or anything.
Yeah.
So.
I'd like to see sometime like Frankenstein in Love or Colossus or Crazy Face.
I know some of those have been produced several times over the years.
Yeah. Or The History of the Devil is probably the most famous one, that gets done.
Oh, yeah. History of the Devil is one of my favorite theater plays.
Yeah.
And not just Clive Barker theater plays, period. I would love to see a production of that. It's so complicated, and it's got so much detail, and they go back and forth in time. It's the devil being put on trial.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping for the episode where we discuss theater plays. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's a really cool, kind of interesting look at religion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It just seems there's so much stuff to talk about with Clive Barker. We haven't even we're 3/4 of the way through the year and we haven't even gotten to a novel yet. That's incredible to me.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's comics, books, movies, short stories, and also Occupy Midian. That really that's always a lot of fun to talk about.
Yeah. So here's some tidbits from Twitter that Clive said. This one, Everville is the second book of the trilogy, which we know. The last book won't be written for 2 more years. And that, that may be optimistic. Who knows?
Yeah.
Everybody will be happy when the third book of the art comes out, of course. But it'll happen when it happens.
Yeah, he's been promising that for a while, and he's been giving some clues regarding the third book of the art, that it's going to be very American in feeling. It's gonna involve.
Well, and the other 2 were American in feel also.
Yeah. This one, it's gonna go delve deeper into that Hollywood, thing, circus / magic thing. Like, I guess you remember when there was the house of what was the name of that magician, Buddy something?
Yeah. Or he was a comedian, wasn't he?
I think so. Yeah. And there were these posters of magic all over his mansion and stuff like that. Yeah. I think Clive mentioned something about that becoming more intertwined with the social fabric and history of America or something. Yeah. So I don't know.
Well, Great and Secret Show was like California, and Everville was like Oregon.
Right. Oh yeah, right. Yeah, that took place in Everville.
Yeah.
So yeah, I need to reread Everville.
Me too.
I only read it once.
I've read it, I think, twice. Because I read something that the third book of the art... this was a long time ago. I thought the third book of the art was coming out soon. So I read the other 2 again.
Oh.
Yeah.
That was... that must have been disappointing.
A little bit.
It's like, hey, Clive, when is the director's cut of Nightbreed coming out? Oh, it's coming out soon. Yeah. Maybe next year.
Yep, and it's going to... He told me that was in 95, and it was going to be on Laserdisc, and it was going to have 25 extra minutes.
Yeah.
That was actually at the signing for Sacrament. He told me that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So what else is new on the... Oh, you were going to tell us about the Twitter things that Clive has been revealing about Abarat, right?
Yeah, so he said the next novel will be Abarat 4, which is the most epic story yet, setting the stage for a massive final book. And then he said, there's one upside to being ill and housebound. I hate TV, so I work. Aberrat 4, The Price of Dreams, is coming by leaps and bounds. So there's a little tidbit in there. Aberrat 4, from my understanding, was always called The Dynasty of Dreamers. So this is the first time it was called something else.
I remember that. I remember that title being thrown around.
Yeah. So now it's Aberrat 4, The Price of Dreams. So, I imagine as these things evolve, they get different names.
Yeah, I'm guessing, probably the name is one of the last things that gets locked down, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. I haven't really finished Aberrat 3 yet. I should.
Aberrat 3 is my favorite of them all so far. They're getting more adult as they go along, and more, it's this thing that Clive Barker likes to do, where he takes this world and gets you, so you love it, and then he starts ripping it apart.
Yeah. The next one on my list is going to be After Damnation Game. I really need to read The Painter, The Creature, and The Father of Lies, because I have that book for a while, and I haven't really.
It's hard to sit down and just read it, because it's all introductions, and so you kind of find yourself wanting to take breaks and read other things. But
I really enjoy that kind of nonfiction material.
Yeah.
Shadows in Eden is one of my favorite Clive Barker books.
There's a lot of that stuff is in Shadows in Eden, too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I figured some of that would be there.
But some of that I was able to to offload a little bit of my collection. Like I have the screenplay for From Dusk Till Dawn only because it had Clive Barker's introduction in it. So I don't need that anymore now. I'm gonna it's autographed. I'll probably get it by Clive. I'll probably at some point make it a prize or a raffle or something for this. But yeah,
so it's going to be Aberrat 4, The Price of Dreams, and Aberrat 5, Until the End of Time.
Which I think Aberrat 5 had a different name also, and I just can't remember what it was.
I keep trying to find clues as to what's going on in these books through the title, and it's not happening.
yeah. All we know is what happened at the end of the book before.
The price Until the End of Time. I would look at it and just reading the title, I would think that so the islands each represent 1 hour. Maybe the Aberrat is coming to an end or something like that. So.
Yeah, or it could take place mostly in the 25th hour in the Odom Spire.
The one with the three ladies. One of them has been killed.
The time out of time.
Could be.
Because that's always been sort of a big mystery that nobody understands.
Or, Clive has a history of creating these wonderful magic worlds and then making them intertwine and become bonded with the real world.
Yeah.
You go to Weave World, the Weave World, the country of the seer kind. It's the seer kind, right?
Yeah.
So the few ends up being intertwined into the city of Liverpool, right?
Yeah, and the end of Imagica.
Yeah, and the end of Imagica, the Dominions get reunited, so there's that.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, and we've seen the Sea of Isabella flood Minnesota.
Yeah.
So who knows?
So that could come back permanently.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just something I was thinking. Until the End of Time, the Aberrat Islands are the hours of time, so who knows?
Yeah.
It's just pure speculation here.
Yeah. Yeah, so he said, I've had the idea for Aberrat 5 Until the End of Time since I first asked myself the question, why am I alive? So that's kind of a big teaser. It's...
Wow, that's pretty deep, man.
Yeah. And one guy asked, did all of your material from the Scarlet Gospels go into the new Hellraiser comic series? And Clive responded, oh no, nothing like. The Scarlet Gospels feels more like Imagica in tone.
Yeah, we went back to this a while ago, and we were discussing, are the Boom comics the same continuity that the Scarlet Gospels are going to be?
Yeah, and they're not.
I think that the decision is that no, probably it's a little different, because Pinhead is going to meet with Harry D'Amour, and allegedly Pinhead's going to die in the Scarlet Gospels, and in the comic books he dies because Christy Cotton takes his place.
Yeah.
So there's a different process there.
Yeah. And then Elliot Spencer becomes the main bad guy.
Right. I need to pick up on those because I think the last one I read was probably number 9 or 10.
Yeah, the last one I read, Elliot Spencer has gathered this army of the damned. Like, he let them through into the real world, and he built this like force bubble around himself so no one can kill him. And they're getting ready to march and sort of start taking over the world.
Oh, so Elliot Spencer is a bad guy in the comic books.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, you didn't know that until like 13 or 14 or something like that, because he sort of played along with the group of good guys. And Harry D'Amour, he makes appearances here and there. Oh,
I really need to pick up on the Boom comics then. Yeah, I mean,
I need to buy some more.
Elliot Spencer. There's another character I'd like to see more of. So I'm glad that he's popping up in the comic books.
There was one really interesting thing where it talked about Elliot Spencer in World War II, or was it he was World War I? Maybe I can't remember.
He was at World War I. Yes.
Okay, so and he and his group came up on this tree. And there were all these people hanging from the tree like fruit, but they were hanging by their necks. They were dead. And he said, and everybody else was, other people were like sickened by it. And he said, it's so beautiful. And so it sort of, at that moment, awoke this darkness in him. And that's what started his, descent into, just looking for the box and trying to find a way to escape the banality of the real world and all that.
In Hellraiser 3, they have an explanation which I think I prefer this one, is that after the war, all the things that he's seen, that he saw, and that he experienced, he says that most of his generation drank themselves to death, but he just started, going into darker kind of stuff, and he just found the box, and when he was stationed in India, and that's when he opened the box in his little Quonset hut and got turned into Pinhead.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, and I don't. Those two explanations aren't really mutually exclusive.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. So it's really nice. I've been looking into the Elliot Spencer character. Because of the Chenard Institute.
Yeah,
and
right. Because there's a picture of him as a World War I soldier on Chenard's wall, right? Yeah,
and there's another thing that I saw because I got the Blu-ray version of Hellbound.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is that now with the HD version, 1080p, you can look at things, you can freeze frame it, and it's like, wow, I can see everything now.
Yeah.
So when Kyle McRae is leafing through Dr. Chenard's binder, just before he flips the page to Elliot Spencer, there's another picture of another soldier. And I was looking at it. I was trying to identify this the other day with a few friends. We're trying to identify what kind of uniform he's wearing, and it looks like one of the French uniforms for a brigadier of artillery from World War I. So we were just like speculating among ourselves. We were just going, hey, maybe this guy was like a Le Marchand's ancestor or something. He was French, so he met up with Elliot Spencer, and maybe he told him about the box. And I was like, yeah, that sounds like a story that would be cool to tell.
It's always so amazing how much Chenard knew. How could he be so deep into all of that and still be alive?
Exactly. He even had 3 boxes.
Yeah. And he
work,
kept them in those bell jars. He's like, I'm not stupid enough to mess with those.
Hey, I know someone who has a box in a bell jar.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you got that one. That was really that. You should post a picture of it one day.
Oh, yeah. I put it up next to my Jump Tribes.
Oh, great! It's just a problem to have that thing with the bell jar when you got a kid. You never know if the kid's going to be like, "Oh, that's shiny," and boom, throw it on the ground.
Yeah, it's like 6 feet up on top of a bookshelf right now.
Oh, excellent. So yeah, we were just there's so much in there that in Chenard's office that you can look at the walls and you can look at he's got, for example. I don't want to spoil a lot of things for the Chenard Institute, but I'm just going to mention a few things that's on Chenard's walls. And one of them, for example, is the Thoth tarot card of the Six of Discs. He's got like a painting of it on his wall, and it's supposed to represent like success and confidence and someone who's well set in life, and so there's that. And there's like a picture of Aleister Crowley on his wall. He's got those weird symbols written on the board. There's a green board on the wall. It's got some kind of esoterical symbols there. Mm-hmm. So, maybe it looks like, I don't know, Thelema magic or something like that. And there's a big altar, Egyptian altar thing that he's got on his office where he has that little mirror thing that you can look through. Oh. So there's a bunch of stuff there. There's like a picture of a woman in white robes that's supposed to be this spirit woman that materialized in a seance and came back from the dead. And it just marries so well with Julia coming back from the dead as well,
Oh, yeah.
The white bandages. Mm-hmm. And this woman was called Katie King. Huh. So you can look it up. It's from the time when, spiritualism was the Allan Kardec and the spiritualists and all that stuff, that they would say that there would be ectoplasmic materializations, and they would take spirit photos where they would just be like double exposures, but where you could see someone like breathing out ectoplasm, and there's like a face in the background, and they go like, "Oh, there's the ghost." Yeah. So he has one of those pictures, and he's got all those clippings that say, "Is death the fourth dimension?" Yeah. Yeah. And Children of the Vortex, puberty linked to psychic phenomena. So there's a lot of cool stuff there that we can play around with and come up with fan-made stuff. Yeah. So.
And I think, is there anything else in news that you can think of?
About Clive Barker?
Yeah.
Let me just check out really quickly. Clive Barker.
Oh, well, actually, I did have some more. I forgot.
Okay.
Yeah, via Revelations, Clive Barker is not going to be appearing at Scarefest in Kentucky. He wrote, to my friends at Scarefest, as you likely know by now, I'm not well enough to attend this year's convention. I was overzealous in the expectation of my recovery when it became clear that I'd be unable to travel to Cherry Hill and Lexington. The most difficult part for me was the prospect of disappointing you. That's why I say thank you from the bottom of my heart for your outpouring of supportive and loving messages throughout all of this. They help me return to my desk each morning. They keep me warm in the dead of night. I hope to be able to see you all very soon. And that was from Revelations, clivebarker.info. He gave that message to them to tell everyone.
Well, here's our wishes of a quick return to health.
Yeah. And I'm glad I hope that he's taking some time to rest also, and not just using the extra time to write day and night.
The Scarefest, there's going to be a stage reading of an adaptation of Hermione and the Moon.
Yeah.
Yeah, we discussed that the last episode, I think. And there's actually a PDF with Mitchell's adaptation, this guy.
Yeah. And which is also called The Departed, depending on what version or where you read it.
Right. Yeah. And of course, there's always new pictures being posted at DeviantArt and Clive Barker's Tumblr blog. Yeah. And there's been one particular picture that's really, really awesome. It's a 1977 sketch that he did of his first design of Pinhead.
Yeah, I saw that.
Did you see that? Yeah, he's got. Really cool. I'm trying to locate that right now. Actually, let me see. Where was that? It looked really cool. It had some directions. It had some writing on it, some notes from Clive.
Did you notice that whole thing between Clive and the other Clive Barker profile on Facebook?
Yeah, that guy changed his name, right?
Yeah, we could talk about that a little bit. It was kind of funny. So I thought that, I didn't pay attention to the difference between the two, so I would see the updates for both. And for a while, I thought they were, the same account because I would see the updates on my wall. And one of them had all these women in, like these bondage kind of outfits and stuff. And it's like, well... That's not exactly...
And spoke in Spanish. Spoke in Spanish, yeah.
It's not exactly Clive's style, and then, but it's like, okay, and then, I thought maybe he was just clicking on photos that he liked on DeviantArt or something, and then, but then Clive came out and said, hey, this is not my profile, this person is imitating me, and I clicked on it, and I'm like, oh yeah, it says he was born in 1982. And all these people are like, oh, we should kill that guy. And I was just thinking, I in a way, I sort of feel sorry for him just because the internet used to be a place where everybody was anonymous and they would put their username is about something that they like,
Mm-hmm.
And now it's kind of the internet has become a place where there's no anonymity, there's nothing private, and you are yourself. And celebrities go there, and you can't say that you can't say, well, I'm Clive Barker, with everybody knowing that you're not really Clive Barker. Now you just go on there and say Clive Barker, and everybody's like, what? No, you're not.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, and celebrities.
But here's
are there
the thing.
Too.
I just noticed something, which is, you remember, okay, Clive Barker's personal profile on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be clive.barker.37 or something like that. And now that profile has disappeared, and now there is one that's facebook.com/official Clive Barker.
Oh.
Is it the same?
I didn't notice that. I want to look at that really quick here.
It's still on my friend list, so I don't remember adding this page. But that's weird. It changed the URL, and I think it kind of changed a little bit of the wall or something. I was trying to look at it.
Well, aren't you allowed to change your URL if you get a certain number of friends, or is that only like business pages?
Maybe
it's his business like page instead of his personal page.
I was just thinking that it's kind of weird.
Facebook is so complicated.
It is. I know. Yeah. Well, it looks like now the only one that exists is official Clive Barker on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
And am I crazy, or there used to be a different one, which was the real profile one? It's confusing. I don't know. Maybe it's the same one.
Clive Barker 36. Maybe it just changed the URL.
Probably, but he used to have all these things that he was posting, and now all I can see are comments from other people on his wall.
Yeah.
I mean, are you looking at the wall? It's just full of people saying, thanks for the ad, thanks, morning Clive, very nice to be here, blah, blah, blah. Oh. And I don't see his posts anymore. Kind of disappointing. I don't see any posts at all. Okay, here it is. May I ask you all what seems to be a naive question? What the heck is the upside to the guy who opens a Facebook page is me?
Yeah. Yeah, so I was kind of that's where my line of thinking, I was going to respond to that, but by the time I got to it, there were already 82 responses. And they were probably all just people saying, that guy needs to go to hell, or he just wants to be like you because you're so awesome, and he's such a loser, and stuff like that. And I was and I was trying to really think what would make someone want to do that, and that was kind of my idea.
Hey, I found a picture of Pinhead in 1977. It's taken from Clive Barker's DeviantArt, and you can see it. Okay, so for starters, it's a very different Pinhead. His eyes are black, and he's got what is described by Clive as elaborate totemic nails, which would be jeweled nails. They're all different looking. And then it says that flesh-rotted blank death dew, and he's got the face like all scratched up with darkness, and then it says grooves filled with liquid mercury, which is really weird. He's got like the grooves of Pinhead would be filled with liquid mercury, so that's kind of a weird sign there. Yeah,
wow.
I'm going to send it to you. Hang on.
So he would have these silver lines.
Yeah, I'm going to send this to you. Hang on. There you go.
Oh, is that on Skype?
Yeah. There you go.
There. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I've been searching. Oh, yeah. Right, I saw that, and all those nails are all. They're not nails exactly. They've got strange. So I thought that said 1997. So this is 1977.
I think it might be 77, right? I mean...
You think so?
Let me check again. Because I think this is I thought this was one of the early designs for Pinhead, because it mentions here... Let me see. Because there were several designs, including just a nail board.
Yeah.
So let me check. Maybe there's any information on the actual DeviantArt page. So maybe on the DeviantArt page we can find something here on the gallery. And here it is, Pinhead Illustration 3 on the DeviantArt gallery. It doesn't really say anything.
Yeah. Because that 1977 looks like it could also easily be a 1997.
Yeah, but it wouldn't make much sense to be 97. 97, he wouldn't be designing any pinheads.
He wouldn't. He would just be sketching stuff, right? I mean,
sure.
Maybe it was for Scarlet Gospels.
I got this idea that I looked at the picture, and it looked to me like it was one of the early designs for Pinhead. I think it was Ron McKenzie who posted it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It could be. Know. But it looks to me like 77, so I'm not sure.
I'm going to ask right now.
Yeah. Yeah, go for it.
Does that say 1977 or 1997? Oops, we're debating this on the podcast right now. Okay.
All right. Yeah, I remember that. For example, if you ever seen The Forbidden, there's this scene where you see the light shining over a nail board, which is a board covered in nails, squared off. And they're mentioning Doug Bradley and Clive Barker. They're mentioning how this was something that later would show up on a man's face that would be Pinhead, blah, blah, blah. So.
Yeah, and Clive has said before that Pinhead came to him in a dream.
Right, yeah.
And he woke up and went to the bathroom, and while he was sitting on the toilet, he sketched out Pinhead.
Yeah, I can also ask Jeff Portis, because he was the guy who developed the Pinhead makeup.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure he got some designs from Clive Barker as well to do that. Maybe we can get back to this on a future episode.
Yeah.
By the way, I was talking about the art director for Nightbreed at the beginning of the podcast, and I looked it up on IMDb. It's this guy called Ricky Ayers.
Oh.
And Eyres.
Oh, okay.
And this guy has worked in a lot of cool stuff. He worked in the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, Farscape, The Color of Magic, and movies like Coriolanus and Solomon Kane. So, it's a person who has a long and pretty good career here. So, I would really like to know if I could get in touch with this person, ask him some questions about Nightbreed. That would be awesome. There's contact info here. There's a contact info for... Oh, this is for subscribers of IMDb Pro only. So there you go.
Oh. Are you a member of IMDb Pro?
No, not really.
But you're on there.
I'm on IMDb, but I'm not subscribing IMDb Pro.
Yeah. The IMDb Pro people, are they the ones that get to talk on their little forum things and stuff and make comments about movies?
Basically, you get access to the information for anybody on IMDb. And I have a friend of mine who was on IMDb Pro, and he actually got the information to contact Harvey Weinstein once.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Back in the days when Hellraiser was being talked about being remade.
Yeah.
And we were like, let's spam this guy.
Yeah.
But, we never did follow through with that.
Yeah.
So... Maybe we should have.
Well, it still hasn't happened. I mean, but actually what came out was probably worse than a remake.
Yeah.
So the last Clive Barker news, that story we were just talking about, Hermione and the Moon, or, in this case it's called The Departed, is appearing in a new compilation called Shivers VII.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's on clivebarker.info. You can see the information about that. So, that's good because that story is only in books that are out of print right now. So, it's nice. Yeah. I always love to see when these rare stories appear in compilations rather than like them putting stuff that's in the Books of Blood.
Sure. I would still love to find some stories about Clive that I've never read, like Pigeon and Teresa on Amen's Shore. I've never read those stories.
I've read Pigeon and Teresa, and I keep trying to remember what book I have that it's in, and I can't figure it out.
It's supposed to be from the London Book of Short Stories or something like that.
Well, and I think it's been reprinted aside from that.
Probably.
So there's and On Amen's Shore is on Lost Souls newsletter.
Oh yeah, I don't have all of them. I have a bunch of those, but I don't think I have that one.
And I think it's about a creature that washes up from Quiddity.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah.
That just made it a whole lot interesting. I remember the creatures that were on Quiddity. They were the little squids, the Zarapushu.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny. That was funny. I always wondered what their function was, living in the Sea of Dreams. What do they do? And basically on that Everville thing, they kind of like help out with the soul of that guy who's dead, the ghost. The guy who gets beat up by his lover's husband.
Yeah.
I forgot his name. But they make him a new body in Quiddity.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Do you remember in the Great and Secret Show, the guy that was the ghost, and he's walking around just looking at the world from the point of view of a ghost, and he sees someone cutting flowers, and the flowers scream?
Great and Secret Show?
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to remember. No, I've read it twice, but it's been a while.
That scene always kind of makes you think, is that sort of saying, hey, no matter what whether you're a vegetarian or a carnivore or an omnivore, whatever you eat, you're killing something. And life is life. But now Clive Barker's a vegetarian. He's a pretty adamant vegetarian. So I don't know. I kind of wonder what sort of prompted that. It's an interesting idea, and to think that everything feels pain and everything can be afraid.
Sure, to some extent. I mean, I don't suppose that plants, for example, have enough of a nervous system to feel feelings.
Yeah,
but
it's who knows more of a metaphysical sort of.
Who knows if they feel pain? They might feel some kind of sensation because they obviously respond to some flowers respond to light and touch and stuff like that. There's like that mimosa tree that the leaves, if you touch them, they'll close. So definitely you might. But it's a beautiful imagination thing that the ghost would be seeing things behind the veil of the normal.
Yeah.
So he would see the flowers as crying when they were cut. That's a beautiful scene. I forgot about that. I need to check that again.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to, obviously we're not going to get to a whole bunch of novels this year, but I'm looking forward to next year really kind of diving into the novels. I mean, it's going to be tough. Yeah. We may not be able to do these episodes every other week. I mean, not if we're doing just talking about novels, but
yeah, we're going to have to stick a few things in there in the middle.
Yeah, but and of course that's what people are all looking forward to, but it's just, if you think about how much time, it takes to read something like Imagica.
It took me, I guess, the first time I read it, I think it took me a month to read the book.
Me too. Yeah, and it was the first time reading through Imagica is very challenging because, like, a good quarter of the book, every chapter is going to a new character, and you're trying to figure out what has this character got to do with the last character that I just read about, and you start forgetting who's who and which guy is Dowd again. I can't remember, and that's kind of how that was my reaction. But reading it a second time is like it was so much better.
Yeah, because you already know what's going to happen,
and what all the connections are between all these people. And it doesn't help that you've got original people and clone people of the original people.
Yeah, the doubles that they created. Like, in the end, it's kind of a funny thing that that they would do that. It's like, hey, I really dig your girlfriend. She's really hot. Can I clone her, bro?
yeah. He's like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's like, okay, well, you keep one and I keep the fake one. So it's kind of like, wow, they're treating women like objects.
Yeah. I mean, literally.
Yeah, but that's just the old personality of the maestro.
Yeah.
So then, of course, he went through so much stuff that he threw away all of his old way of doing things.
Yeah.
And he became almost like a, kind of a saint or something. So
that's a really kind of an interesting trope that gets used you see it a lot in movies where somebody is a bad person, but then they get amnesia and they learn to be a good person before they figure out who they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like even Total Recall, with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I was just thinking about that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like
I haven't seen the new Total Recall, have you?
No, I haven't seen the new one.
I think it's in theaters right now. But it's like, if you get that and there's like Expendables 2 and there's, I don't know, I'd probably rent the new Total Recall before I'd go spend money in the theater on it.
Sure. I like Philip K. Dick stuff. It's probably I like Philip K. Dick probably as much as I like Clive Barker. So
yeah, I mean, it's just his movies are so hit and miss because it's like they're not his movies; they're just movies that people did based on his stories.
Right. The only one that he actually saw something was from Blade Runner, and he died before it was ready. So
yeah, and I don't like that Ridley Scott took over the book. Do Androids Dream Electric Sheep and had the title legally changed to Blade Runner.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That must have happened over there. Because here I can still find the paperback. And even on Amazon UK, there's still Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep.
Or it'll say Blade Runner in huge letters, and then underneath it'll say Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep.
That might have been more in the United States. I'm not sure. Because I was just looking at stuff from Philip K. Dick on eBay and on Amazon last night.
Yeah.
And I was still looking for that, and I haven't seen a single book that had Blade Runner on the cover.
Well,
I remember there was an interview with Philip K. Dick where he said that at one point when the movie was coming out, that the producers of the movie asked him if he was willing to write a novelization of the movie. And withdraw his own version of Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep.
Isn't that awful?
And of course, it is awful. But it was the producers. It wasn't exactly Ridley Scott that asked him that. And he said, no, obviously not. He refused that, and he said, I think that really upset him a lot. And he was like, of course I wouldn't do that. Would you ask like a Clive Barker, hey, can you do the novelization of Dread, the movie? It would be something like, no, obviously not. I wrote the book. This is the book. I'm not going to change it. But actually, someone did ask him if he was willing to do that. It's amazing. It's
Blade Runner is cool in its own right, but it's not the same as the story. And Ridley Scott even said one time, somebody asked him if he read Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, and he's like, yeah, I read part of it. Yeah.
Well, it was when he got hold of the story, it was already adapted into a screen.
Yeah.
By that guy, the writer who adapted it originally.
Yeah, and there There's stuff in there that doesn't make sense. Like, in the story, all the rich people had moved already to Mars. And so there's all this, these empty cities, right? And nobody's there. So when so in the movie, when you see like inside of skyscrapers, those are all like empty inside, and people have like whole floors to themselves or whatever. But they
would crash down some walls and make big suites and stuff like that.
Yeah, but when you look at the city, like, and when you look at the outside, it's all busy and congested traffic and stuff like that, and
overpopulated.
Overpopulated.
And then in the end of the movie, you see that the happy ending scene where they're driving into the grassy plains, and you're thinking, why is it so overpopulated? And there's so much natural, places that they could expand to. So it's But anyway, they removed those things afterwards when they did the final cut. So, but when Hampton Fancher, the guy who adapted the screenplay, he was the guy who optioned the rights to Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. And now I'm going really on an off-topic thing. This has nothing to do with Clive Barker, but
okay.
I'm just a nut about Blade Runner. So he's the one who first turned this into more of a hard-boiled detective story.
Yeah.
And that's when Ridley Scott got in touch with the material. So that's why Ridley Scott didn't really read the book and say, hey, I would like to adapt this into a movie. So when he got into that, it was already pretty different from the source material.
I like the first cut of the movie with the voiceovers and stuff.
Yeah. I got all of them.
Yeah.
I got that box with like 5 or 6 different versions of the movie.
And I haven't seen the final cut yet.
Oh my God!
I just
really?
remember hearing Rutger Hauer. When I was at Mad Monster Party, Rutger Hauer complained about how they changed the F line to father.
It's ambiguous. You're still not sure what he says.
I want more life, father.
You can still unless you got one of those 5.1 super systems. I thought it sounded pretty ambiguous still.
Yeah.
But it looks like father. Yeah, it does look like that. It sounds like that.
Yeah.
But you can also, if you like turn your head the other way, you might listen to something different. So.
Yeah.
But he was upset about that?
Yeah,
okay.
Well, he made a joke about it.
Okay, yeah.
Because I guess that's sort of a point of contention on the final cut. I don't know.
I think the biggest point of contention is Deckard a replicant or not, because there's one scene where he walked into the same line as Sean Young, and they were bouncing off light from their retinas, and Harrison Ford's eyes looked like a replicant for a few seconds.
Oh, really?
And then when the final cut came out, Ridley Scott said, yes, I think that the Harrison Ford character is a replicant. That's what I was trying to go for. And everybody was like, oh my God, stop the presses, really?
Well, and I always thought that was the case.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It never really crossed my mind. Only years later, when I'd seen the movie several times, and I started looking at the scene where he falls asleep at the piano and the unicorn appears in his mind.
Yeah, and he gets the little origami unicorn.
Yeah, it's like, hey, I know what's in your mind. We put it
he's
there.
like, and it also is like he gives those to that guy was a Blade Runner too, right? That left that unicorn for him. So it's kind of like saying, I'm going to be hunting you next.
Hey, could be. I never thought about it that way, but that's pretty cool. So yeah. Anyway, in terms of going back to being the Clive Barker podcast instead of the...
I thought we were the Blade Runner podcast.
Yeah, well, we could do one of those one day.
Yeah.
Either, hey, this is Zay and Ryan. Hey, we're the Blade Runner podcast.
Yeah.
So really, there's not many other news except for the fact that Clive Barker posted a picture of his great-grandfather.
Yeah, I saw that.
Which was taken in July 1887 in New York at Frederick's Knickerbocker Family Portrait Gallery. And his great-grandfather was Italian. It was called Rocco Peverelli. So there you go.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we have one Facebook feedback from CJ Whitehead. He said, "One question or topic I have for the upcoming podcast is I was wondering if you guys know if Danny Elfman has seen the Cabal Cut. If so, are there any details yet about his possible involvement in the restoration? All I have read is Clive said that he hopes to bring back Danny Elfman." Don't know anything. If anything like that has happened, we're not in the loop.
Yeah, no, I don't know anything about that. Yeah. Maybe you're better off asking Russell Charrington.
Well, and the Cabal Cut to this point has been mixed with sound using the original soundtrack CD. And every time anyone asks him about that, he says basically that you can just the CD, this music is a little repetitive, so you can kind of keep on putting it in, and it's Jimmy Johnson did a good job of matching the music to the scenes. But
so there's that.
Yeah, so I mean, and it all depends if this gets an official restoration with the original film footage, probably a lot of things are going to change.
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, I don't know. I probably can't say anything about the possible producers of the restoration, so I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah.
But if the people who are lined up to produce this do get on board, I think that they have a history of making a great job restoring movies, and of course there's always that hope, that glimmer of hope that I keep referring to, which is whenever they decide that Morgan Creek says, okay, let's release this, then that they might actually go the extra mile to find the film footage. If not, it's like Ryan says, they can always bake the VHS, try to get the best quality out of it, and just do it like that. But
and we still get an HD version of the theatrical cut, which we've never had, which would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be great. Maybe we can get to see more detail in the background, and maybe they can do, the remastering of the HD, because I always thought the movie looks really, really dark. I showed you once that I did this the screen capture from Lylesburg's death scene.
Yeah.
And taken straight from the DVD. It's almost a black screen.
Yeah. And
you can make out Lylesburg there with a shot in his head. And then if you tweak the levels a little bit higher with the brightness and the contrast, you finally manage to see what's going on in there. And it's an amazing comparison to go between one and the other.
And and just before I went to Mad Monster Party, I watched the DVD again. And I was thinking, the quality on this is not very good. It's kind of almost VHS quality. It just felt like like it was just thrown together really fast.
Yeah, the DVD was always a bare bones thing. I mean, there was never anything in terms of bonus content.
No,
not even a trailer. I think my DVD, I don't think it has a trailer.
And it has a little bio about Clive Barker that's got false information on it.
Oh, yeah. So it doesn't really have anything in terms of bonus material. They just made like a bare bones thing. It's like straight to DVD and that's it. And they didn't even release it in Region 2. It's just,
where it was filmed.
Yeah. So that is so unfair to the English people, to the Brits, that they would have this done in Pinewood Studios with a lot of people. I mean, gosh, Simon Banford complained that he hasn't seen the DVD in like years because the DVD is not the same region as his DVD player. Yeah. So he has the Region 1 DVD and he can't even watch it.
Yeah, one of the pivotal characters in the movie, and he couldn't even see his own movie.
Yeah, he was referring to this on an interview they did at the Jersey Monster Mania.
Yes, yeah.
Monster Mania thing. He was being interviewed with Nicholas Vince, and he said, it was great watching the movie again after so many years because this is the first time I've seen it in, 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. So
and he talked about how he The first time he saw Nightbreed in the theater, he got up and left. He was so angry because it was so different from what he thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And this time he cried seeing the Cabal Cut because it was so much better.
Another thing that about that poster that Timothy Pittis is making, he's also making a Hellraiser poster.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's also working on a Hellraiser poster right now.
Wow.
Because after this screening in Texas was moved from October to December, I think they're going to have a Hellraiser screening there too in Texas. So he's doing a Hellraiser poster as we speak. I've seen a few pictures. It's got Frank. It's got chains shooting out of the box, and then on the top he's got like a drawing of Pinhead. It's just a very preliminary sketch that he's doing right now.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
So one more thing, he from C.J. Whitehead, he said, also the Raising Hell, the Visions of Clive Barker film has been a must-see ever since I first saw the trailer. If you guys feel like talking about that, I would love to hear your thoughts. And he gave us an IMDb link to it. So it says 2011 documentary. Well, I guess the entry was from 2011, but now they're saying 2013.
Not yet released.
Yeah, I mean, do you imagine that this is in some kind of development hell? I don't know. The Raising Hell, the Visions of Clive Barker. Yeah. Oh, Joe Berlinger. Oh, yeah, okay, I know what this is. There's a big trailer for this on the internet. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a big trailer that's almost like 10 or 11 minutes long. It's got Clive Barker talking. I think this is just me. I think what last I heard was they were looking for producers. I think they didn't have enough money to complete this, I think. Yeah. So, yeah. There's another one. There's another documentary, too. I keep mixing the two together. There is another one that's being done by another director where Clive Barker was going to come up with a Cenobite for that documentary.
Yeah, and that was like more of a Hellraiser documentary, wasn't it?
Yeah. I was trying to remember that. I don't have my notes here right now. I should. For maybe next episode we can discuss this, or whenever we talk about Hellraiser. But there is another documentary too that's being prepared about Hellraiser. That Clive Barker was going to create a new Cenobite for the documentary.
And you always wonder where these things are meant to go. Are they going to be like art house cinema, releases? Are they going to be special features on something?
Sure.
Are they going to be like on demand video that you can get like on Netflix or I don't know.
Joe Berlinger. I got more information here about this, and he's okay. Hang on. Boink. Joe Berlinger, co-executive producer and director of Iconoclast since its inception. Joe Berlinger is an award-winning filmmaker, journalist, and photographer. Berlinger's most recent film, Crude, debuted at the 2009 Sundance Film Festival. Berlinger is currently executive producing and directing the first season of Masterclass, a new series for the Oprah Winfrey Network, and is now in production of the third installment of the Paradise Lost series, slated to air to HBO in 2011. Most recently, Berlinger has begun working on a featured documentary exploring the life and work of horror novelist, filmmaker, and artist Clive Barker. So he's a member of the Directors Guild of America, the Writers Guild of America, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, and the Academy of Television Arts and Sciences. I was trying to find his website.
All it says is release date 2013 on here, and I don't... Let's see.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we don't have...
It's directed by Joe Berlinger and Bruce Sinofsky. That's the new Clive Barker documentary. So those are the two directors doing this. Raising Hell, the Visions of Clive Barker. And I've seen the trailer that was really long about this. It was like 12 minutes or something. And I'm trying to find it. Here it is. It's on the Berlinger and Sinofsky's website. So this trailer is really long, and I recommend it. It says, trailer, exploring the hauntingly bizarre and beautifully twisted mind of horror novelist, filmmaker, playwright, cartoonist, and painter Clive Barker. Raising Hell, the Visions of Clive Barker digs deep into Barker's imagination, revealing the complex and dynamic life and work of one of the most unique visionaries of our time. So there you go.
Huh. All right, so yeah, that link will be on our show notes.
Okay.
So
it's a really long trailer. It's got like 10 minutes or something.
Yeah. So we won't bore all of you by watching that while we're talking here, but yes, that's really interesting. I hope that comes out. Everybody, I think that I would like to see kind of a resurgence in Clive's popularity.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, his books do well when they sell. When they come out, that I think his books do well. But
yeah,
I think young people don't know as much about Clive.
I would like to see his books more often on bookshelves.
Yeah,
it's gotten to a point where there is a new edition of The Thief of Always coming out in Portugal. It's actually the second book that they've translated from Clive Barker. The first one, The Damnation, back in the 80s. Mm-hmm. So, hey, who knows? Maybe if it's successful enough, they'll start translating Aberrat or something.
How does it? I mean, do you like the translations? Like, I know you're reading Damnation Game right now, and you've probably read the English version also.
Yeah, I read the English version first.
Yeah.
Then I found out that there was a Portuguese edition of the Damnation Game, so I bought that.
Yeah.
I lent it to an ex-girlfriend, and she never gave it back.
Oh.
For years I looked for those Portuguese books because they were kind of rare to find.
Yeah.
And I think it was like 2 years ago I found it in a bookstore. Actually, the bookstore from the publishing company. I went there and I said, "Do you have these 2 books?" And they were like, "Yes, we have the complete collection of this horror series." And I was like, "Okay, I want the volumes like 37 and 38." And he was like, "Okay, here you go." And I'm like, "Great, now I got the books again."
I love the opening paragraph of Thief of Always. So I was just kind of thinking, how well does that translate into another language? Harvey Half Devoured and The Great Grey Beast of February.
Oh, they kind of managed to translate it in a good way. I have my issues with translation, of course, because I always feel like a translation is going to be faulty no matter what, because there are idiomatic expressions and there's like metaphors that don't translate well from one language to the other.
Yeah.
The publisher actually has a sample PDF of the book that has like 40 pages of the story. Considering the book is 120, it's almost a third of the book as a sample. And I was looking at it. It looks nice. It doesn't have any illustrations, though. I'm not sure if it's because it's the PDF sample or if the finished product is going to be just text. I think that the illustrations that Clive Barker did really complement the book.
Yeah, in the U.S., only the hardcover and trade paperback had the illustrations, and once it went to the mass market paperback, the illustrations get taken out. And I don't think that he has any control over that, because I think if he had his way, they would always be there. But it's a big disappointment.
Yeah, Aberrat without illustrations is a very inferior thing. I mean, it's incomplete, absolutely incomplete.
There was a time when I used to collect all the paperbacks along with the hardcovers, and when The Thief of Always came out in paperback with no illustrations, and then they made a new edition of Imagica that was in 2 books, and I felt like that was just. I saw Imagica 2, and I'm like, how come I haven't heard about this? Oh my god, there's an Imagica 2? And I open it up and like, oh, that's really pokey. And I'm sure that those illustrations by Richard Kirk are good, but I was so upset, that about them tricking me like that I threw out all my paperbacks, and except for the 2 that I have that are autographed, and I just keep the hardcovers now.
Yeah, I can understand that. I remember seeing an Aberrat paperback once imported, and I flicked it off the shelf and I looked it over, and it was just text. Maybe it had like a couple of illustrations in the middle in black and white. And I looked at it. It was really cheap, and I thought, I'm just going to put it back in the shelf. Yeah. So I just slipped it back, and I didn't buy it. I just rather have the hardcovers, and that's it.
Yeah. I mean, they're heavy and they're harder to move, but I don't know. Yeah, it's cool if you go in Clive Barker's library. He's got like 3 or 4 copies of every single version of every book that he's ever published.
Mm-hmm.
So it's this enormous, just huge wall of books.
Wow. I can't even imagine. Have you ever seen the Japanese versions of Aberrat?
I think I've seen pictures on the internet.
Yeah.
If I had more time, I could have spent days in that library going through all that stuff. But
yeah. But there's like German things. When I was in Germany, it was frustrating because I would see all these editions of Clive Barker, including audiobooks, but they were all in German. Even the audiobooks, of course, were in German.
Yeah.
Obviously. And I would make them out for the cover. So I would okay, this is the Great and Secret Show, and that is, Cabal was easy because Cabal is just called Cabal with a K. So in German, but the other ones I was having trouble finding out. Okay, what is this? It's I don't know.
Because they have weird covers and the titles are hard to figure out.
Yeah, sometimes they have these generic paintings on the cover, and there would be Clive Barker, and there would be I don't know. I'm trying to come up with a German-sounding name.
My stepbrother, who's Colombian, but he took a lot of German, he bought, I think, Everville in German, and the title was something like The Evil One or the evil or the evil place or something. I can't remember, something like that. It wasn't Everville. Yeah,
for example, the translation of The Thief of Always, if I translate it back from Portuguese to English, literally, it would be The Thief of Eternity or something like that.
Well, that's pretty close.
Yeah, it's pretty close. But, Cabal in German is like Der Brut der Nacht, which means like the race of darkness or something like that, which actually sounds similar to...
Right, it would be Nightbreed.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, because if the race is breed and Nacht would be night.
Right. So there you go. So you translate it back, you get something that's actually similar, but it sounds kind of weird.
Yeah.
But the book isn't actually called Nightbreed. It's just called Cabal. So they actually added that name to the book, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, to tie it into the movie, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
Yeah. So sorry we don't have more information. Those were those were super high level questions that we don't have the answers to.
And for a show about nothing, we ended up talking 2 hours.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. Well, you can find us. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, if you guys made it this far, hey, I salute you.
Yeah.
Kudos.
If you didn't, then wake up. Because we're going to end now, so you're going to want to turn off your iPod or whatever. But yeah, you can find us on the web at www.clivebarkercast.com. We're on iTunes. Leave us a review. On Facebook, we have a Facebook page, and you can find us on the Occupy Midian group. Our Twitter is @BarkerCast or @OccupyMidian. The forum is timewinds.com/Clive/forum, and the official Occupy Midian website is www.occupymidian.com.
Well, I'm afraid that's a little out of my jurisdiction. I want more life, fucker. Well, I'm afraid that's a little out of my jurisdiction. I want more life, father.
See you at the party, Richter.